Hey!
Hi.
Welcome back.
Do I have chocolate chips in my teeth?
I can't tell from here, maybe a little. Full disclosure. We're just going to full disclosure.
Okay.
We had been talking about this for 30 minutes, what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And then I realized I did not hit record on the video.
You know what, though? You know what? I love you.
I love you too.
It's okay.
And we were, it felt so good. We were
know.
having such a good conversation. But let's see if we can recapture the last 25 minutes here. But we've been gone a little bit because a storm came through Nashville, and
Yeah.
Our fence got complete. We got a backyard fence. It got destroyed.
Yeah.
Our internet was out for days, so we couldn't do much. But we did a movie roulette, or it wasn't movie roulette. That's a different one. For movie roulette, it fell on to Johnny Mnemonic, which we probably will watch sometime this coming week.
Yes, this was the randomizer.
And I also think that this, not this weekend, but the next weekend, we're going to start with new movies.
Oh, yes.
Because we just don't really have time to go this weekend, right? We got some cool stuff we want to watch, right? I mean, maybe we will, maybe we won't. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
But before we get into the movie we're discussing here, which was our randomly selected movie, Mank, 2020 feature. And I think it kind of links in to the conversation we're going to have, because did you know that this Sunday, you don't know, because we never watch this shit. We love movies. We don't watch this shit. The 95th Annual Academy Awards.
Yeah.
And if you hear our dogs licking their genitalia or snoring, it's just how it is. And we're probably not going to watch it, but I think as we go...
No, we will not be watching
we go through a year. I always look to see who won, but I never watch this shit. Ever.
Yeah, I mean, I want to
Not
see
since
who
I was a
wins,
kid.
but I don't care. I like to know who's nominated, just to be like, did we miss anything we need to see, which I think we're going to talk about.
And I made a list of Best Picture winners. Do you know who won Best Picture last year? You're going to have a hard time because no one ever fucking talks about this movie. It's there's you look in the past 8 years, and most of the movies are some fucking movies no one ever talks about. Is a movie called Coda.
There's no way I would have pulled that. I had no idea what that was.
Yeah, no one fucking talks about this movie.
Okay.
And I was looking at let me pull up our little list. I won't pull it up on the screen. I'll just say it. So I wrote there's not all 94. We'll know who the 95th winner is, and I think we will watch the winner of Best Picture very soon. And I'll do a prediction who I think it is based on the fact that we only watched one of the movies that are nominated.
But it's my vote for best movie.
But I'm gonna go in just the last 8 years of Best Picture winners, okay? Mm-hmm. From most recent and going back.
Okay.
Coda. Never heard of it. Nomadland.
I actually
2020
want to watch that. I put it on the list I'm making of movies based on real life.
Frances McDormand.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Parasite by Bong Joon-ho, which actually did get a lot of. Sir, I saw it. I
still
like the
need
movie.
to see it. It's on my list.
This movie kind of became one that everyone was weirdly talking about. It was kind of weird. It doesn't seem like the type of movie that everyone would talk about, but they did.
Yeah.
Green Book.
Okay.
Which was...
I didn't see that.
The Drive-In Miss Daisy of the 2010s, right?
Yep. I did know that one.
You know, it was directed by Peter Farrelly. I think he's one half of the Farrelly brothers.
I think you're right.
I haven't seen Green Book, but I think it was the equivalent of Crash winning in the 2000s.
Oh, the worst. There is a good Crash. It's not the one that has an Oscar.
But no one talks about fucking Green Book now. No one gives a fuck about Green Book. And apparently that story was like they all are, pretty embellished, right? Then The Shape of Water.
I do want to see that. I still haven't.
It was, but the thing that everyone talked about was Lady Fucks Fish Man.
I've seen that scene. I watched it on someone else's laptop on an airplane.
Ooh, did you?
No.
Was it sexy watching it like that?
No.
Moonlight 2016. That is a good movie. That is a good movie.
That is an amazing movie.
Barry Jenkins. Spotlight by Tom McCarthy. That is about the economic crash of 2008. And Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
Spotlight? I thought that was about
No, you're right. It was about the Boston.
It's the newspaper that broke the story about the priests molesting children.
Oh, I saw that. That was
a good movie. That was what's his name that we like? The Hulk.
Yeah, the Hulk was in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Birdman. The Michael
I still haven't seen Birdman.
Do you remember that movie Argo? Did you know that won Best Picture in 2012?
Argo, fuck yourself.
You know that won Best Picture in 2012? I did
know that.
Really?
Mm-hmm, yeah, I know.
I mean, it was fine, but I was like, I didn't watch that being like, this is the best movie I've seen all year.
No, I didn't think, but I think that was around the time when I might have still been watching the Oscars sometimes. Like, I don't know, but I knew it won, and I don't know what it was up against,
and
but
the fucking Hurt Locker won that year. That was really the best movie that year, is The Hurt Locker.
I never saw that one either.
I'm
doing bad at this list of what I've seen.
I have to go back to, honestly, in terms of movies that I felt like that won Best Picture that seemed like they had a legitimate cultural effect and resonance. Maybe Parasite comes closest, but
Moonlight.
Moonlight is very good, but I don't really hear people get on it that much.
Well,
but I'm going back to 2007.
It was impactful for me.
2007's No Country for Old Men. I'm talking about the greater zeitgeist of culture.
No, you're right.
What people keep referencing over time and stuff. I do think Moonlight was a great movie.
Yeah.
But No Country for Old Men, like, I still hear references about
all
characters from those movies.
Yeah.
Like, that is probably the last true culturally significant Best Picture winner.
Can I ask you a question about that movie?
Go ahead.
Because someone said something the other day, and if this is true, I didn't understand that movie.
Okay.
The guy from Switchblade Man or whatever, Swiss Army Man, that kid, I don't know his name, but he played the Riddler in the Batman.
Paul Dano. He's the dad in The Fabelmans too.
Okay, that's number 2 for why I want to watch The Fabelmans, because I love him. I think he's great. I think Paul Dano is really great. So Paul Dano is in
No Country for Old Men?
Nope.
Okay,
sorry.
Let's move on.
Okay.
The Academy, the best.
Sorry. But I was thinking of the one.
What were you?
The milkshake movie. That's I hear about more. I drank your milkshake.
Oh no, you're thinking of.
What is that called?
There will be blood.
There will be blood. That's Paul
Anderson
Dano.
Movie. That came out around the same time.
Yes, and I saw that one.
That's a good movie too.
That one I saw them both, but I feel like I hear that one referenced constantly.
Yeah, that one's
and I don't
one
hear
that
No
gets
Country
referenced.
for Old Men referenced. I hear There Will Be Blood referenced constantly.
I hear No Country for Old Men. I hear people referencing Anton Sugar like as this force of nature figure in cinema. I hear things compared to him. Like I guess in my world and the things I absorb, it still is a pretty resonating movie.
Fair.
But so is There Will Be Blood.
But did Paul Dano play his own twin brother in There Will Be Blood?
His own twin brother?
Someone said that on a podcast I was listening to, and I was like, I thought he was just a guy who changed.
He played his kid, right? All right. We're in the weeds. Let's go through the Academy Award nominees of the Academy Awards that we will not watch for Best Picture. But I will say that at least half of these I'm actually pretty interested in watching.
Okay.
So Baz Luhrmann's Elvis.
Yes, I do want to see that.
I was not interested when I first heard about this, but the word of mouth on this one and how just absolutely strange and out there this movie is.
Yeah.
Like, it might be ridiculous in a way that may or may not be unintentional. I'm not sure. And apparently this actor crushes this role.
I've heard he's really good. I think he's a Disney kid or something. So some people who are younger have actually said it's a little weird watching him play this role, who like watched him as a Disney kid, I think. But when I was younger, I was obsessed with Baz Luhrmann movies around,
and
Strictly Ballroom.
Young women in our age range, they rocked some Baz Luhrmann.
It was all about Romeo and Juliet. But
they were
when I was
some Baz.
Even younger,
Strictly Ballroom.
I was obsessed with Elvis movies. So I'm in. I love Elvis.
Cool. Avatar: The Way of Water.
Don't care.
We never saw the first one. This movie I want to watch that we haven't seen and I think I have a feeling this is the kind of movie I'm going to like.
Okay.
Tar.
Right.
And the director, I heard, had worked with Stanley Kubrick in the past. And I've heard it described as it's kind of got this cold sense of humor about it.
Okay.
And yeah, and I think you had previously stated that you thought maybe it was based that was a common belief.
Yeah, I thought it was based on a true story, or at least like a time or group of people. I thought there were at least characters that were real that she interacted with, or that she was an amalgamation.
I've heard the amalgamation argument, but like, no, this is a completely fictional
honestly,
person.
couldn't you make that argument about almost anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All Quiet on the Western Front. The third ever Best Picture winner was the original movie version of this. I'm sure it's fine. But no one's really talking about it.
Has a movie and a remake both ever won?
If All Quiet on the Western Front, it could be the first.
One?
It could be the first.
You know, it happens in Broadway, obviously.
Sure.
Like a Tony, like a show will get a Tony, and then a revival will get a Tony. But it's a lot less to pick from.
Top Gun Maverick, which apparently, quote unquote, saved Hollywood. I mean, it is a huge movie that wasn't a superhero movie. Yeah. I'll give it credit for that.
I was a Top Gun fan.
I think this is like the biggest movie of last year. No, Way of Water definitely made
Way of Water?
Avatar. I just mentioned it. But Top Gun.
Yeah.
Apparently this was like the biggest movie last year.
I guess I just don't care. Because, like, apparently in it, there's this storyline that, like, I guess Kelly McGillis left him because he was a jerk.
Oh, well, she didn't come back for the role?
Nope, she's not in the second one. So, like...
I heard she essentially retired, like, a long time ago. The next one is the movie I think will probably win Best Picture, based on how I hear the general audience talk about it. I hear people who aren't, like... I feel like I'm getting mixed reviews from when I listen to film nerds talk about it, but the general public who has seen it, it's kind of become a little bit of a phenomenon. It seems like a lot of people like it, and I've heard that Michelle Yeoh is really good in it, but I'm talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, I don't know. I will watch it. I know it's supposed to be really great, but when it came out, I was really feeling exhausted by multiverse movies.
Yeah, you keep talking while I get this door. To the point,
totally. Cats opening it on his own, actually. To the point where I just didn't want to see it literally at all. I liked Michelle Yeoh. My only experience with her previously was in Star Trek Discovery, which like we liked a little bit, and then we fell off. But
that show fell off hard.
I'm more excited to watch like Michelle Yeoh's early stuff. We were at a movie recently, and we actually saw a preview for one of her early films.
Heroic Trio was playing at Belcourt.
She was so fun.
She was a big Hong Kong action star, and yeah, I'm totally down to go back and watch a lot of those.
But I know this is supposed to be great, but I don't know anything about it except that it's multiverse. That's
been a complaint I've heard from people who have seen it, because it's just kind of it's the multi-dimensional thing. It's something we're seeing in all the superhero movies. Mm-hmm. It just seems like it is stemming off of something that is kind of like common. So if you're feeling like a burnout on certain rehashed sci-fi plots, then this might make you roll your eyes a little bit. Yeah. In fact, I've got a personal project I've slowly been working on that deals with interdimensional shit.
Yeah.
And because I recognize that multiversal stuff is so common now, that I'm thinking about like maybe putting it on the back burner.
It's even in television shows.
Yeah, it is. It's like the new MacGuffin, right? I guess. But you know, I've heard it's at the very least a good movie. The Yas Queen pick is a movie about Mennonite women called Women Talking.
I don't know anything about this except that you told me it was about Mennonite women, and I want to watch it.
Can the men handle it? I bet they can't. Okay.
Men might be able to handle it. Keep going.
Okay, this movie, a movie that I've been wanting to see, actually pretty bad. And this is probably the most I've wanted to see a Steven Spielberg movie in a while. 20 years ago, we were like, let's watch anything but a Steven Spielberg movie, right?
I feel like 8mm was maybe the last. Not 8mm. What was the one with the kids where they were making?
That wasn't a Steven Spielberg movie. That was like a fucking. Who's Lens Flare, dude? What is Lens Flare, man? What the fuck is that guy?
It's cool.
Why you put me down these things where I can't remember anyone? If you can't remember, I can't remember because I'm trying to talk about something else. I thought I was
saying the right thing. I apologize.
You're thinking like when the kids find the alien. That's the movie. Yeah, and that movie was just like okay.
I thought it was Spielberg.
I guess I can see why you would think that. It's kind of inspired. It seems like it's inspired from Spielberg movies. But this one I want to watch. This movie did not linger in the theaters very long, but Steven Spielberg does usually get a little love from the Academy. And this movie is apparently supposed to be an interesting interpretation that maybe is about Steven Spielberg's childhood.
Yeah. The Fabelmans.
The Fabelmans. And David Lynch plays, I'm forgetting the famous John Ford. John Ford.
Yeah, I will watch anything with David Lynch.
Apparently there's some like wild shit like in this movie too.
Okay.
The Banshees of Inisherin, the only movie we saw. It's good. It's really good.
So good.
I don't know if Barry Keoghan was nominated for anything else, but
he better be.
And does it feel like Colin Farrell? Ever since, like, The Lobster?
Yeah.
It's like, we gotta go see that Colin Farrell movie.
Hell yeah.
Prior to that, he was in, like, a bunch of action movies and shit, right?
Yeah.
He played the Penguin in the Batman. He did fine there.
He did fine.
That was a lot of makeup.
The Lobster.
Lobster is good.
So good.
Now it's all about, like, we gotta go see the Colin Farrell movie. Where back in the day, I was like, oh, yeah, the Colin Farrell guy.
Yeah, he wasn't even on my radar. And I don't even think until after this one he was officially on my radar. But when those two things together, it's like, oh, hell yeah.
It's just hell like, I feel like every time I'm seeing him and shit now, it's like, I'm like into it.
Yep.
And the one that I probably know the least about is Triangle of Sadness.
I don't know anything about that.
So we've only seen the Banshees of Inisherin,
and that's my winner.
That's your winner. I'm just based on general public reaction. I'm picking Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think that's a pretty strong contender.
Yeah.
And it's pretty appropriate, I guess, that we're talking about the Academy in Hollywood because there's.
Oh yeah.
We did our randomly selected movie on our very first episode drop. You can go back. Barely anyone's heard it.
Yeah.
But our Hotel Transylvania episode is so far our number one.
Ooh.
And although if I could say what's a better homage to classic movies, Hotel Transylvania or this one, you might be surprised.
It's Hotel Transylvania.
But, I got my flat cap on to represent like old timiness or whatever. And we watched our randomly selected movie was the film Mank, the 2020 film released on Netflix by David Fincher. Let's see who's in this movie. We got Gary Oldman. He does a good job. He plays Herman Mankiewicz.
At the age of 43.
Honestly,
because he's an alcoholic.
That looks like a 1930,
1940s,
43.
Yeah, for sure.
So I let that pass.
But this
I
is
did notice that.
2343.
That's right. It's different now. And we don't drink like they're about to ban it. Amanda Seyfried plays Marion Davies,
great job.
Marion Hurst, William Randolph Hearst's lady.
Mm-hmm.
Lily Collins plays the girl who's typing everything as Mank is dictating Citizen Kane to her.
Stenographer.
What a I guess that was a necessary role. Joe, it
was like they wanted to give him a daughter figure. I don't know.
Yeah. A little crowded.
It was weird.
A little crowded. You could have wrote, we're embellishing in these biopics. There's not everyone is even popping off that much. It's just like, explaining how important the ladies are instead of just letting them be important, I guess. This movie's kind of got that problem.
Yes.
Tom Pelphrey plays his brother, Joe Mankiewicz. Joe Mankiewicz would go on to win a Best Picture Oscar for All About Eve. I think that happened in 1950. I
want to watch that.
Which was about a year or two before Herman Mankiewicz finally drank himself to death.
Mm-hmm.
Arliss Howard plays Louis Meyer from the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the movie studio. Sarah Mankiewicz, played by Tuppence Middleton. And of course, this is all about Mank writing Citizen Kane. So we got a Tom Burke playing Orson Welles and my man Charles Dance. And we Charles Dance on the waves of the ocean's romance. He played William Randolph Hearst.
Yes.
You gotta love a Charles Dance appearance.
Tywin Lannister.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Directed by Fincher.
Okay, we're done.
Written by his brother.
That's pretty much that.
So this movie is, this movie, I should clarify that we thought, was this made with old-timey gear or anything like that? No, it's all actually digitally recreated because Fincher's been on the digital recreation kick for quite a while. And Fincher's made some movies that we've really loved. And I'm not going to even say that this is a bad movie.
No, it's not a bad movie.
But in terms of Fincher fare,
it's not best.
What's peak Fincher, right? Zodiac?
Oh, hell.
Zodiac's
amazing.
Zodiac's one of the best true crime movies, feature films ever, right?
Yeah. Didn't he do the first Magic Mike?
No, that's Steven Soderbergh. Oh, you knew that?
No, I didn't. I got it wrong. But as soon
as
you
said just
no,
kidding. Like this is my great joke.
As soon as you said no, I realized how wrong I was. Like as soon as you said no, I was like, right, just kidding.
You were like,
I wasn't trying to say I was joking. That was not it. It was like, wait, that was dumb.
I want to present this joke.
It's not a joke.
How you framed how,
but it wasn't a joke.
But you said it was.
No, I didn't.
I know what you mean, but it just is silly the way.
Even when you say just kidding, that doesn't mean I was telling you a joke. It's like, oh, wait a minute, back up. That's really all that meant.
I got this little joke I play where I pretend that
backing up.
Steven Soderbergh directed David Fincher movies and vice versa.
What are other David Fincher movies? What are other David Fincher movies?
Fight Club.
I love Fight Club.
Alien 3.
Okay.
That goes back a ways.
I get the aliens confused after 1.
Well,
I don't know what happens.
The first 2 are the best.
Yeah.
One is Ridley Scott, sci-fi horror. Second is James Cameron, so it's like sci-fi action.
Right.
And then after that, it does fall off.
Maybe that's when I get confused is after that.
It falls off kind of hard after that.
Yeah.
Fincher. Hold on. Now, I mean, he made so many. Zodiac, we said that. Ya fucker. Let's see here. Gone Girl.
Okay. Gone Girl's good. It's not my fave.
The Social Network.
Okay.
The Curious Case of Benjamin's Button.
I've never seen that movie.
The stateside version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He did a lot of videos. Like when we were in the 90s, he did remember Panic Room? He did that.
Yeah, Panic Room's good.
Yeah.
That was
The Game with Michael Douglas.
That was in the theater when I worked in the movie theater. And so I saw that movie a couple of times.
And 7. That one. 7. What's in the box?
Yeah.
That's old Fincher.
He's a good director.
He's good at drama.
Not even okay, after all of that, those are all better movies than this. This is not a bad movie, but you didn't name a movie that I would say is
This is better than Alien 3.
Okay, well I don't remember that one. So let's that one aside. Okay, I'll give you that. But I'm just saying every other one of those I think was better. You also mentioned that he digitally made this look old.
Yes, it wasn't like old gear.
He just made it black and white.
Yeah.
And it took me out of it a lot because I know that he was trying to sort of emulate the way that Citizen Kane was filmed.
This whole movie is taking the techniques that were popularized. I forget the name of the cinematographer in Citizen Kane, but he is dropping a bottle of booze. It represents he's dropping the snow globe.
Totally.
Everything is like way darker than it needs to be because it's trying to be like the reporter scene where they're walking down the stairs or they're in the newsroom.
But the bits they choose to mirror for me don't fit. Like what he takes the dark news reporter scene makes sense because they're all faceless and they're just against him, right? But in this movie, the dark scene is like the writers in their writer room, which Mank is part. It just doesn't. It doesn't have the same weight.
Not at all.
So it doesn't make sense.
Not
at all.
It doesn't
feel like there's a reason.
And when you can, if you notice, and you can tell what he's doing, obviously.
Yeah.
But But you're right. When you're watching Citizen Kane, even so far removed from when it was made, and you see those shots of the reporters talking in the dark, and like they're walking around his old mansion, like it still feels fresh. It still looks good.
Yeah.
But that like that quality freshness is not translated when they're emulating that shit in this movie.
Yeah.
And that was kind of an aspect of it that was like, just put some lights on people, for fuck's sake. We like this era of Hollywood.
Totally.
Like, I'm a big fan of Orson Welles.
Yeah.
And this period, this kind of like, you know, from the 20s and through the 30s, we're transitioning from the silent movies into the talkies, right? Yeah. And we're, and this is kind of like the second wave of old Hollywood where Orson Welles is coming in the 40s and they're giving him carte blanche to hire who he wants, RKO Pictures. And of course, we got Herman Mankiewicz is played by Gary Oldman. He does a great job.
He does.
I mean, he's a good actor.
He is. Always has been.
And he's got a broken leg, and he's dictating the script. He's got 90 days and then 60 days, and he's supposed to be sober, but he's an incorrigible drunk. Yeah. And he's way clever. He's so clever. He talks like Orson Welles does in the movie he wrote.
The phone calls that they had together. This is why, like, a little ways into it, I said to you, this feels like a play. And it was after the first Mank Wells phone call, because it was just that super way too fast, like Gilmore Girls Amy Heckerling rapport. And that's actually maybe why I thought the Soderbergh rapport. That might have been why I thought Soderbergh was.
I think you're thinking
he does that too.
I think you're thinking of not Amy Heckerling.
She does like Gilmore Girls.
No, that's she didn't do Gilmore Girls. Amy Heckerling directed Clueless.
You're right.
I forget the name of who did Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
But I think maybe somebody like a Diablo Cody writing, but old timey. You know, these writers, these Hollywood personalities, they did kind of talk a little larger than life.
Amy Sherman Palladino.
There you go.
My bad. I got my Amy's mixed up. My fast talking Amy's.
Yeah, Amy Heckerling. She made. Palladino made some good stuff, but Heckerling underrated. Very underrated.
We should watch Vamps.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
Yeah. We'll check a lot of stuff out.
We like movies.
We like Amy Heckerling. We like her. I felt like Tom Burke's portrayal of Orson Welles, he sounded like Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Except when he got a little mad. I felt like it got lost there. But like some people can do an Orson Welles impression. Like if you think about like the Pinky and the Brain.
Oh yeah.
That cartoon.
I loved Pinky and the Brain.
The Brain was just an Orson Welles impression. Like, we're going to do the same thing we do every night, Pinky. Well, I didn't do that very good.
No. You did it better earlier.
Yeah.
Do it again. You can do it.
Well, that footage we didn't record when I really crushed the Orson Welles impression. Damn you, Rosebud. Rosebud. I mean, you look in the dead center of our video and Movie Humpers, that's Orson Welles' cackling face that our logo is over.
Sure is.
And so he is a part of us. We do love Orson Welles and the personalities of the time. And, I thought, I didn't think this was a very badly written movie. Essentially, we're going and we're bouncing all around, just like Citizen Kane did. The first movie to really do that. Mm-hmm. And we're bouncing around from when Herman Mankiewicz, he's going from playwriting into Hollywood. I think it's all in the span of like 34 to 39.
Yeah.
Or up to 41 where Citizen Kane initially came out.
Yeah, it's basically it's telling you the story that he's sort of basing Citizen Kane on, which is this relationship that he had with William Hurst and his lady.
Which felt maybe that was, I don't know how close they were, but it seemed like quite an embellishment.
It really did. It did seem like the mayor, not the mayor, Louis Mayer.
Yeah, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer.
Apparently very good friends with Hearst. This movie also posits that Hearst actually gave him a lot of money to keep the business running, probably because he wanted his little wife to be in the movies.
Yeah, Marion Davies was a star. Yeah. And so, and she married William Randolph Hearst.
And honestly,
so there's a connection.
If this movie is at all true to history, it really does make sense that Citizen Kane was based on at least that aspect of Citizen Kane, the relationship with the woman. was very much based on this Marion Davies relationship with Hearst. Because in Citizen Kane, I believe it was that his girl was like an opera singer. Like he would like fill theaters for her. Like that was part of what he would do. In this, it's movies, but in Citizen Kane, it was opera. So he changed it like this much.
I don't know. I feel like this movie just makes me want to watch Citizen Kane again.
I know, me too. They also talk about how like this movie is very much like Mank is writing this about Hearst, and everyone's scared that if Mank goes up against Hearst, he's going to kill his career. But the story we've always heard is that it's an amalgamation of
Charles
amalgamation's like the word of the day of all these people.
But Hearst did have negative reactions to this, and apparently didn't run ads for it in his newspapers, which might have contributed to it not being very popular when it first released.
Well, and this movie tells the story of the reason he got in their life was because he was in a writer's room with Marion Davies' nephew. And the nephew, like, randomly asks him to come home for the weekend. And there's this really wonderful scene, which I didn't understand at first. And then once I saw it was happening, I really, really loved it, where the nephew's inviting Mank to come home on the weekend. And Mank's like, I don't know, we'll see. And he's like, be here at 7 a.m. if you want to come along. And then Mank walks off the scene. And then you see from the other side, almost, it's like, I don't even know if the camera changes, like, a car comes and it's the next morning already, and he gets out of the car drunk, goes with the guy drunk, wakes up in the middle of nowhere and doesn't know where he is. He hears a girl screaming. He goes and finds it's Marion filming a movie that Pops had the idea to film her in, who is what she calls Hearst, which is a little bit like daddy complex.
Pops. Call him Pops.
She calls him Pops.
Yeah, the transitions were good.
If I started calling you Pops, that'd be weird, right?
Depends on the context. Could I dress like an old man and be like... Anyway, we'll move on quick from that.
I don't think so.
The transitions did work, but it is also something that Citizen Kane did popularize. It was unique when Citizen Kane didn't. So we are kind of used to seeing movies that bounce around like that.
Yeah.
So in that sense, that is the one thing that it pulled that seemed to be working, that seemed to work just fine.
I also really, really loved within these it actually told us at the beginning, it would say like, it was act like it was a script. Like a film script. Yeah. So it's like interior wherever, and then the year, and it would actually say flashback.
Yeah, real cute.
It was a little much. And because it had the typewriter noise, that was a little much.
A little on it.
And it would be there, and then it would go down the page like I don't know. It was a lot.
You get it. You get it real quick.
The year. All it needed to say was the years, maybe.
Yeah.
But in these flashbacks, we don't really get a lot of like establishing relationship stuff with his wife, because it's not about this, but his wife is in his life the whole time. Like at one point he's telling her how he doesn't think that Wizard of Oz is going to do any good in the theater, and she's basically putting him to bed, or in the movie theater.
It is cool how he's like wrong a lot.
I know. Yeah, he was wrong a lot. But what I really loved about Sarah and the actress who played her is that she felt like the grounding part of his life. And she at one point talks about, how she dealt with his like traumatic drinking and his
platonic affairs
and all
I
of
like
this,
that. I like that term.
To the point where she's so accepting of it, to where like they never hint that anything happened between him and Marion Davies. But there's this party where Marion Davies gets upset because she's talking, and all of a sudden it's like, she said that Hearst was on the phone with the president, and it like everyone kind of freaked out a little bit. And so she ran off embarrassed, and literally his wife was like, go check on her. Go get her.
The only real kind of like juicy female role in this is by Amanda Seyfried.
Absolutely.
As Marion. The Sarah stuff, you kind of felt for Sarah, but at the same time, like, this movie you could have never seen Sarah, and maybe it doesn't make that much difference.
I liked it. I liked her.
Yeah.
I especially at how like she would call, because for a lot of the movie he's supposed to be writing, so she's taking the kids away, and she does come to visit at one point, but she'll call, and he always calls her poor Sarah.
Yeah.
Because he's so terrible. Poor Sarah like, this and poor Sarah that, and literally the girl answered the phone and said to him, "It's poor Sarah." It's your wife. Like, she was embarrassed because she called her this terrible nickname. But I loved at the end when she looked at him in the face and she was like, he always is asking her, why do you love me?
Yeah.
Why do you love me? Why do you love me?
Yeah.
But the fact that she is still with him shows you that there is something lovable about him. I don't know. But then she does say, like, one better call me poor Sarah.
I think she just settles for that lot in life, you know. The money's pretty good, at least. So.
I guess.
You know, and the Lily Collins' character who's taking down everything, as Mank describes.
She's like the stenographer, or whatever it's called.
There wasn't that much depth to that character, even though it seemed like she could have been important, but wasn't really. I mean, if you're going to embellish things in or out, I don't know if that character needed to be in there that much.
Yeah, there was also a nurse character that truly only seemed to be there because there was one scene where she said that Mank had paid to bring her entire family from Germany, her entire village, like 100 people.
I wonder if that was true.
Which is amazing, and I really want to know if that's true because that is really cool.
Yeah.
But it does feel like they made sure to put her in there to tell that story, because you would think if you were trying to kind of condense cast or like condense things, you could have made those two women the same person.
They're also, I
don't know.
Yeah, and she's also supposed to be the force that's supposed to keep him clean, but that totally never works, like even for a second.
Well, yeah, everyone like leaves him alcohol because he can't sleep if he's not drinking because he's such an alcoholic that he can't write. When he's not drinking.
You might hear our dogs licking and snoring.
Yeah.
So
they're in here. They're always in here.
If you hear
Snorting.
like a crazy, that's a dog. Yeah, that's a snort. Here, let me pick this dog up and show her. Come here.
I think BB was on last time too.
Oh, I think so.
I'll pick her up.
She's not coming to me to get picked up, so I'm not going to worry about it.
All right.
So we go back into the 30s as Mank is, you know, goes back and forth like we said.
Yeah.
And I did like when he's first getting into the movies and he's heading up these writers' rooms and they're coming in and he's and he gambles like the dumbest shit. And there that part where like this staff of writers is just off the top of their head pitching a movie to executives.
Oh yeah.
A pretty funny scene. But it's interesting because if you look back in old movies like that and you look at like the writing credits, it'll be like 8 writers on a movie. And there's probably like 4 more that are just uncredited. It's like, it really was kind of a committee. And you had your dude at the top that was like the mayor of the writing room. I guess that was Mankiewicz, right?
The head writer.
There's just it was really a true committee to put all this together. So, but it's, as far as I know, and as far as this movie posits, it was probably just Mankiewicz and probably Orson and some rewrites were the people who wrote Citizen Kane. Truly.
They did show him bringing rewrites at the end.
Yeah.
They did show that part. But...
And when he encounters an angry Orson, and then he gets the idea for that scene in Citizen Kane where Foster wrecks the room after his wife leaves him. Which is
one of the best scenes.
Dope ass scene.
Because it's like so real.
Yeah. And, but, you know, as the movie started, you know, everyone's a little so clever and your brain has to adjust to the cleverness of it all. But
I prefer awkward movies.
but there was some historical stuff that I didn't know, that because apparently the writer of Oil and The Jungle, Upton Sinclair, he was like a reporter who really changed how meat packing and shit is certain industries do things in this country. And we're rolling back on a lot of those nowadays, but he really did kind of pop stuff off and was a bane of tycoons back in his day. And he was running basically as a Democratic Socialist in California. And Mank, he, amongst these, you know, he's in the rooms with William Randolph Hearst, and he's like the token socialist that's like, everyone likes the way Mank talks. He's so fun to be around. And he's the one that's like, actually, I kind of agree with socialism sometimes. And they're like, oh, Mank. Oh.
And he's always like pointing out things that they're doing that's terrible, but they all just think he's joking. Oh, you're so funny to talk about how terrible we are.
But it's kind of like a bullshit thing where he's like, I kind of side with this guy, but I'm going to work for you guys and make a fucking film where, you know, we trick people into not voting for Upton Sinclair and pretend that we invented politicians lying. I can't believe we totally invented that. We invented that.
They did not do that, but it does seem that they're trying to insinuate that they created the idea of using actors to pretend that they felt a certain way politically for a smear campaign.
I mean, I'm sure they were smearing on the radio for a long time before that.
That was a really upsetting part where it was this guy that Mank knew. So Mank had the idea.
Yeah.
But then he was seeing the videos and he was like, I don't like this. And he tried to get it pulled. He was like, we should not do this.
Yeah, but it was too late.
He even like went to Marion to be like, please tell Hearst to tell Mayer to not do this. But he couldn't.
But she had walked on the studio, so she couldn't
already
go back.
made her exit. And there was like press there, like, and she's like, I can't go back.
Yeah.
I've already made my exit. And then he just got out and started laughing because it's like, that's what's going to keep this from not happening.
Yeah.
But his friend who had never directed before, they like had him direct this. Mm. And then when Upton Sinclair lost, he felt personally terrible.
Yeah.
For having caused that to happen with the movie that he made.
Because he had some hard times, so he kind of related to the stances Sinclair was standing up for.
He absolutely did. And he was like, what have I done? What have we done? And he actually was a victim of suicide.
Yeah.
And Mank has this moment where he kind of, I think it's at this moment, there's a couple times where he kind of realizes, like, I've fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
But that was the moment when he said, I always have to be the smartest guy in the room. Or whatever, or the most clever guy in the room.
The most clever, whatever the fuck that means.
It's almost like because he made a joke.
He is flawed, at least in that sense.
This whole thing happened because he, like, had an idea.
Yeah.
But it's like...
He wrote that campaign movie,
right? Yeah, he wrote it.
And the campaign movie, it's like, it shows...
I mean, at least had the idea first.
Yeah. And they ran with it.
They ran with it.
And the movie shows, like, everyday white people talking about how they'll vote for the GOP candidate against Upton Sinclair because they want to save their money. They worked hard for it. And to show people supporting Upton, they showed one black guy and an immigrant.
Yeah.
And the immigrant's like, yeah, we want to bring the Russian Revolution here. You know?
Yeah.
The very specific
propaganda
to like a dog whistle imagery to trigger white people to be like, well, we don't want to vote with the black guy and the immigrant are going to vote for.
This was also during the time of, it was pre-World War II.
Yes, and leading up. So there's a lot of talk about this guy, Hitler. We're also coming out of the Great Depression during this time. Of course, Mank is, he's intellectually on the right side of everything, but doesn't do anything truly right. Except writes a really good movie called Citizen Kane.
He definitely is one of those guys who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
I mean, he might be, but that doesn't mean you're going to do the good things all the time.
There's a difference between being it and thinking it.
Yeah.
And even if you are it, if you think it, then you lose some of it.
Orson Welles, the idea is that Mank is going to write this, but it's supposed to go uncredited.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much because he kind of like burned his bridges. There's a scene where he's sitting with all the Hearst and Louis Mayer, and he finally is just too much of a messy bitch for the last time, and he throws up at a dinner party.
Makes Marion mad.
And even though they have a good relationship, like...
Well, he ruined her party.
Yeah, he ruined her party.
It was a costume party.
And so that's pretty much like the end of him with that studio. So when RKO hires him on through Orson Welles, it's, maybe to protect them or protect him, like either way. But Mank enjoys he's like, this is the best thing I've ever written. I want my name on it. And that's when Orson gets kind of like upset about it. And it's also Orson's narcissism here. He wants full control of the movie.
What I thought was interesting about when he decided to ask to have his name on it, it was like after multiple people in his life made special trips to see him, because he's not at his house. He's like at a specific place.
This is definitely
in the desert.
The most embellished shit in the movie.
Yeah, it's like this parade of people coming to beg him to not do this movie. It's like he's already written this movie.
It starts with like his brother
calls out Marion's nephew because he wants him to read the script, and he's like,
everyone's read this fucking
script. Tell you this is... Yeah, everyone's read it. He's like, I can't tell you this is okay because I don't know what she'll think. And so he takes the script and she reads it. And so then she comes to ask him to not do it. And honestly, I really thought Amanda Seyfried did a really great job in this role, because she actually gave this woman like levels.
Yeah.
And this was a part which was really interesting because she basically was like, hey, listen, I understand what William and I are. But I love him.
Yeah.
We've done a lot together. We have a history. Like, I don't want you to do this because it's going to hurt him.
Yeah, but like, this is also like one of the most powerful men on the fucking country.
But then she goes, am I convincing you at all? So it's like, how much of that was, do you know what I mean? There's like these levels of like, was she completely being genuine? Or was she like still just looking out for number one? Or like, how innocent and sweet is she versus how like much is she trying to control things? I just thought it was interesting.
And of course she mirrors the character in the movie, the showgirl that Charles Foster Kane runs off with. Like, there were people, real people that these characters did seem loosely based on. And
then his wife comes, and she doesn't try to convince him, but he basically is like, go ahead and tell me your speech too.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I have rehearsed it, so here goes. But she wasn't going to do it. Like, she wasn't going to ask him not to do the movie because she kind of knew it was pointless. But that's when she said the thing about, like, I've put up with your drinking. I've put up with your platonic affairs. Stop calling me poor Sarah. And basically, he truly is like, truly, why are you with me? And she goes, well, I've put so much time in. I kind of just want to see how it ends. Yeah,
the lost, what's that called? When a Scientologist can't leave, it's like the sunk cost fallacy.
Oh, God.
Sarah's in a sunk cost fallacy. She's put all this time into Herman.
But I felt from her that she does genuinely care about him.
Sure, of course. I mean, she did fall in love with someone here, you know.
Anyway.
But, you know, I feel like you pulled a lot from Sarah.
I really liked her.
Maybe more than was actually, like, presented.
Okay.
But, hey, it's all right. You pull what you want. But, of course, you know, one thing that I'm grateful that this movie didn't do was that we didn't get to some, like, scenes at the end where he's drunk himself to death and he dies.
Totally.
Thank you for not showing
that
anything like that. No one wants to see that shit. I mean, there was enough here that no one wanted to see. I'm kidding. This was a good movie, but it was like a little bit too like, all right, quit huffing your own. You're huffing your own farts a little too hard here, and a little pulling so much from the Citizen Kane. It's very obvious what it was doing. I mean, the specialness, the special feeling of it was all very up and down. You know what I'm saying? But good performances and overall pretty well written, I would say.
Yeah.
And we hear actual audio of, you know, we see Mank and Orson. They're not there, but they win best screenplay.
And they both got the Oscar for best screenplay.
And that was the only award that movie won. And one thing I was kind of surprised was, and I think it's fine that they didn't do this, but like I mentioned before, the movie did not do very well at first. It was very critically acclaimed, but it wasn't until a lot of European critics came along a few years later that it started getting that best movie ever made kind of lock on it.
Didn't you tell me that it was because all the newspapers were mad about it that they wouldn't publish
anything that Hearst owned? I don't think he ran ads for Citizen Kane, so that probably didn't help matters.
And maybe the others, if you're saying like there was more people upset. I mean, if other people were upset,
but it was kind of a sleeper in terms of the general public grabbing onto it and checking it out. So, always critically acclaimed, but that's where we're at, you know, now. So.
You know, there had to be a few people, too, who were like, it's just that War of the Worlds guy.
Yeah. That guy, he tricked me into thinking aliens was invading. I don't like that guy.
Made me think this movie's real. Come on.
Hey, no, pal. You're not going to trick me twice. Forget it. Citizen Kane was also like the movie that was like, where people were just incredulous, like talking about like an artsy fartsy thing. Like it was like, oh, Rosebud's the sled. Okay.
Oh, what about the time when he comes to visit Mank in the hospital? When he's dressed like
in F for Fake.
Yes,
he's wearing
F for Fake. He's got like it was great.
This movie, there was things to enjoy this. I mean, we like this time, and I think, you know, I'm trying to think of it more objectively as a general consumption. If you like this period in Hollywood, you're a fan of Citizen Kane, it's worth your time. It's worth your time, totally. Yeah. But, like, if none of that really means that much to you, I don't know if you're going to get a lot out of this movie.
I would say maybe just, like, rewatch Citizen Kane and then watch Ed Wood. That's That'll be a much more enjoyable evening.
Yeah, I think Ed Wood is like a better recreation. It is better of an old Hollywood thing.
I love Ed Wood.
Because Ed Wood is just like, it knows it's kind of goofy. Because the subject matter is goofy. Yes. So it just kind of very expertly just kind of plays into the joy of it.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of like, it's almost like that Zack Snyder dryness where when he adapts something, it's maybe like a little too on the nose. Mm-hmm. And, some things just came off maybe a little more precious and maybe didn't execute in that similar way.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder.
But in terms of old Hollywood story and the Upton Sinclair stuff, I did enjoy that.
That was interesting.
And if you like old Hollywood, and I do, yeah, it's worth watching once. But we're going to give this 1 through 5. We're going to hump this 1 through 5 times each, and then combine for best out of 10, and then we will determine our tiers from there. So tell me, how many times are you going to hump David Fincher's 2020 film Mank? And probably this got less vocal buzz than actual Citizen Kane when it came out. Like, no one really talked about this movie.
I didn't know what it was at all when we picked it. My instinct is like a 2.5, but
that's a straight average.
That's a straight average.
Okay.
But I
mean, it's whatever you feel.
2.75.
2.75, okay. I'm going to go straight. I
feel like that's low, but
I feel like for a 1 through 5, I feel like this is a pretty straight 3 movie. Straight 3 movie. So you take my 3 and your 2.75. That is a 5.75.
Is that our lowest one so far?
Wow, that brings it to, I thought it would hit a B tier. No.
C.
It hit C. It's like the high end of C tier. So let me do something here. Here we go. And this is our second C tier movie. And so it is above Story of the Kelly Gang.
Oh, right. So Story of the Kelly Gang was hard to even judge.
We were just kind of having fun judging that one. But Mank 2020 by David Fincher at Gincher. I can't spell. Stop watching me misspell. It's at a 5.75. I thought it would hit B tier, but
sorry, my fault.
But what a shock! It went high end C tier. I thought it was going to be B tier for sure, but that's just the way the cookies. That's the way the spilt booze falls. Because he was a drunk.
It was too long. That factors in. I feel like it was very long. Not
good enough. Not quite good enough to be that long.
Was it over 2 hours, right?
2 hours and 13 minutes.
Give me a break.
We love short movies. Okay.
Under 2 hours. It can be like 1:59 and I'm cool.
So our randomly generated movie, Mank, is in the can. So you know what that means.
We get to randomly generate a new movie?
We get to randomly generate a new movie.
This is not roulette, so we're not picking categories, right? This is just...
Yeah. Hold on, let me... Here we go. I'm going to just move some things around.
Okay.
So for the visual. All right. All genres are selected.
Okay.
I'm going to hit the generate button. Our next randomly selected movie will be the 2018 film. It appears to be a foreign film.
What is it called?
It's called Cold War.
Okay, that's what I thought. I can barely see from over here.
It's called Cold War. I don't know anything about this.
Okay.
The cover I'm looking at is a Criterion.
I do recognize the Criterion symbol, so cool on that. 2018, you said?
2018, it is a foreign film, Cold War.
Cool.
I'm guessing it's about the Cold War at that time, which spanned a long period of time. Probably about Russians, right? Maybe
spies.
East Germany, maybe.
Maybe some double agents.
Yeah, maybe it's a spy movie. I don't mind a good spy
from
movie.
From here, that looks like it's trying to be sexy.
Yeah, it looks like there's a little romance involved. This, look at the overview here. A film by Paweł Polakowski. So it appears to be maybe Polish or I don't know. Some of these European studios they often collaborate country to country. Like sometimes multiple countries will kind of come together and make a movie. This might be the case. I don't know. We'll find out. Before the month is over, we'll probably be discussing our next randomly selected movie, Cold War. And be on the lookout soon for some more animation discussions. Mm-hmm. And our movie roulette selection, Johnny Mnemonic, is around the corner. So, and that said, death to all traitors.
Death to all traitors.